shoot. Fires at the top of the key and banks it home. The Liberty take a 2-point lead.
Welcome to Liberty FM, the podcast dedicated to all things New York Liberty. I'm Francois, and I'm joined by my co-host and wife, Felicia. This is episode 6, and today we're going to talk about the revenge tour, that the Liberty went on this week, as they were facing two teams, the Atlanta Dream and the Washington Mystics, that have beaten them this season and were able to expose some of their weaknesses. And so they took care of business on Friday, 110-80, a blowout wins against the Atlanta Dream, and scoring their highest total of points this season with 110. Great win. What did you make of that game? What's the first thing that comes to mind, Felicia?
Let's go Liberty. This was definitely the revenge tour. I was very happy with this game. They came out strong. And they played well. They played for each other. You know, I think it was an overall team win. They just moved the ball around well. Breanna Stewart played a great game. She made sure that she was getting her shots off this game. They were going in for her. They were not, I believe Atlanta, they were not too much of an issue for her this game. They were definitely feeding JJ more on the inside, which they need to just do more, and I'm glad to see that it happened in this game. She did well. It was just an overall great game by everybody. Everybody touched the ball. Everybody contributed and got points this game. So I was really happy that they came out and just showed Atlanta what they're all about.
And so, talking about Jonquel Jones, she was the first big superstar that the Liberty acquired off-season. And so we were all very excited about what she could bring to the team. But then afterwards, the Liberty got Vandersloot and Breanna Stewart. And so the question was, what was going to be the role for Jonquel Jones in this team? And so far, it feels like she's a little bit out of place. Obviously, she had a foot injury in the offseason, so she had to sort of, be in shape and everything. But there's definitely a question about her role on the team. And Friday, when they play against Atlanta, they definitely figure things out. I really enjoyed the fact that they kept fitting her in the paint and just taking advantage of the mismatch that they had every single time, because apart from Cheyenne Parker, they didn't really have any center that could stop Jonquel Jones. So I was really, really pleased with her performance, and she also had 2 threes in the game. But she ended up scoring her best total this season with 18 points and also had 9 boards. So pleased with Jonquel Jones, right?
Yeah, I'm definitely pleased with this performance against Atlanta. I think as the season wears on, we'll see how she progresses against other teams. But, this game, she definitely showed out. I was definitely happy with, everyone trying to get her the ball on the inside. They just need to keep doing that so she can get stronger, she can get better, she can get her legs under her. She had the mismatch, and so it worked well in her favor this game. So, she just has to keep pushing, keep growing. There's a lot more games left, so I think she'll do better.
Well, hopefully that's the first of many great performances by Jonquel Jones. Now, one of the things that she did mention that they really wanted to focus on was rebounds, and particularly offensive rebounds. That was one thing that really killed them in the last matchup against the Dream, where they lost the game at home, and the Dream literally dominated the board, especially in the second half. And this game, we were really pleased to see that they really took care of business. They had 42 rebounds against the 37 rebounds of Atlanta. And even players like Mo Billings, who had 9 rebounds. If I look at offensive rebounds, she only had 1 offensive rebound. Cheyenne Parker only had 2 rebounds, 0 offensive rebounds. She was another player that got a lot of boards in that previous matchup. So I'm glad that they took care of business and that impacted the game as well.
Yeah, they made the necessary adjustments for this game, and that's what got them this win. They were more aggressive. Everyone came out aggressive. I was happy with everyone. I obviously love Marine Johannès, so she did well. Some of those
she's so
threes,
smooth, isn't she?
She's smooth with the threes. I mean, she was running all over the court, and so I'm glad she did. She had a great game along with Laney. I mean, everyone.
Now that was interesting because in the first half, there was at some point like a close up between Mahin Johannès and Stephanie Dawson, and Dawson was like, just shoot the ball, and from that moment on she just was on fire. And to be honest, I think it was Diana Taurasi from the GOATs, or well, one of the GOATs from the Phoenix Mercury, that was pointing out the fact that she's tired of media and fans that make comparisons between NBA players and WNBA players, and was saying like, why don't we compare the current players with legends of the past in the WNBA? And so Marine Johannès, she's often compared to Stephen Curry. But to be fair, we were talking about it earlier today, she's unique. Like, even Steph Curry, as great as he is, he doesn't have a shot like Marine Johannès. Like, the trajectory of the ball where she just goes like up in the air for so long and just like swish. That's unique, right?
It's unique. I mean, it's like a sort of like a rainbow shot, but it goes in, it works. I think last year, even when we saw her on the court, especially when she made certain shots, we probably compared her to KD at times, going off of one leg, and she's an amazing player. And so I know she tends to come. I feel like she starts games a little bit more quiet, and then you hear somebody else is like, "Come on, Marie, just shoot the ball," and then that sparks something. So probably this game, Steph was the spark for her. They're besties, so she gave her the necessary push, and she went off the rest of the game.
She did. And I was watching the other day a little documentary that you can find on YouTube about Marine Johannès and comparing her to Steph Curry. And it was basically 4 years ago, the year where she went to the Liberty for the very first time in 2019. And they were just showing, when she was playing for Bourges in France, and also with the national team, and they were just showing her rituals and how she prepares herself. And there's no secret; it's just hard work. I think she was taking about 500 shots each day and training like personally for a couple of hours. Even Kobe Bryant used to say that you need to train like 2 to 3 hours every single day to have an advantage against other players. And there's no miracle. It seems so easy, but it's a lot of work behind what she does. And obviously she gave us the impression that we could just go on the playground outside and just do the same.
She does make it look easy, but we know it's not easy. We know that they're putting the work in. They're athletes. They've been doing this for years. They're putting that work in. And like the great Kobe Bryant said, if you're putting in 2 to 3 hours a day, every day, you're going to get the advantage. And it's just how bad you want it. And so, she's just a phenomenal player. She makes it look easy, but we know it's not easy. She just put all that work in, and we're seeing it on the court now. So
yeah. And so besides Marine Johannès and also Betnijah Laney, that continues to be such a crucial piece to that team.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we were going to start running out of good things to say about Betnijah, but she was aggressive on offense. She's starting to score a lot of threes. Those little corner threes are becoming a specialty. So she was definitely she was the best scorer of the team and a key piece to that win. But there was another player that had a great impact on that team, was Courtney Vandersloot. If I look at her stats, she had 16 points, 11 assists, and 7 steals.
Woo.
Ooh, what did you make of those steals?
Yeah, I mean, she was disruptive, and that is part of her game. When she cuts to the basketball, she gets between a play. Both her and Marine they get their hands in there really quickly, and just Sloot is able to really disrupt other teams. We've been seeing it for the last few games, really, but she really took it to Atlanta this time. And so, I mean, we need Sloot. Even if her shooting percentage isn't great one night, she makes up for it with assists, steals. She will do all the little things to get her team the win, no matter what's happening on the court. Vandersloot is going to do the little things to make her team do well.
Yeah. So overall, a blowout win by 30 points. And when I talk about revenge tour, I don't know if the players, really see it as a revenge. They obviously just want to win every game. But
they lost at home.
They lost at home
against Atlanta. They knew they were sick to their stomachs that they lost at home. Atlanta took it to them. Brianna had a bad shooting day. So listen, it's a revenge tour. They needed to put their stamp on this game.
But the people that don't seem to forget about, losses and take it hard to sort of have this revenge tour are the social media teams. If you look at social media teams from WNBA teams, it's really like something to see on Twitter when the team wins, how creative they are to sort of come up with rhymes or banters or things that really like show that, we put a stamp on that win. And so when Atlanta won last week, they did like a little graphic with ATL with the colors of the New York subway, and I can't really remember exactly what they said on this, but
just trash talking.
Yeah, trash talking. So definitely the social media team of the New York Liberty wanted to remind them that I don't know, it kind of feels good to wake up with a 30-point win against LTL, and I think they showed the picture that the social media team of the Dream had put up after the win last week. So it's all well and good in the world of the WNBA, but it was great win. The only downside of that win was Stephanie Dawson's injury. You see, we're in New York here, so there's going to be a lot of noise outside. We apologize for that. But yeah, the only downside was Stephanie Dawson's injury. She twisted her ankle at the end of the game, stomping on Nyara Sabalet's foot. And it looked pretty bad. It was hard to watch.
Yeah, I was still questioning why she came in the last 2 minutes. It's just
there was
unlucky.
Literally no point, but
there was no point. But unlucky. They just ran into each other a little bit, and she happened to step on her foot. So, it's just unfortunate because you need Steph. She's another big that will help out, when JJ's out or if Stewie's out. You need her. So it's gonna be a tough loss with her not there.
Yeah. And so it looks like she's gonna be out for a couple of weeks, according to Sandy Brandello. And so in the meantime, the Liberty decided to get back Epiphany Prince on the hardship contract. That's obviously the tough part of the WNBA where you cannot take a player for the rest of the season. It's only depending of who's missing on the squad. And so with Anshu being out with the Asian Cup, Epiphany Prince was able to be recruited by the Liberty as the 10th member. But as soon as Dawson will be back, Epiphany Prince's contract will end. So she joined the team shortly after it was announced that Dawson would be out for a couple of weeks. And so she was there today as we were recording the podcast. The game was today against the Washington Mystic, which was the second tour date of the Revenge Tour. Yes, Revenge Tour. And that was
a gritty.
How can we describe that game? Incredible, weird, emotional, roller coaster.
It was a roller coaster for sure. This was a gritty win. There were moments that I was definitely nervous that the Mystics were gonna pull this one out, but I still have faith in my Liberty. But this is a tough one. This is one of those matchups with a top team that I definitely wanted to see today because they got some tough games coming up. So I just wanted to see how they did, and it was a bit nerve-wracking, definitely in the first half, but they came out strong the second half, and then we got all the way to overtime. They pulled out a great win. But it could have definitely gone either way this game. But it was gritty. There's no question about it. You had some weird stuff going on. It's just, you had some unfortunate things going on. The refs were getting on our nerves. It had a little bit of everything this game.
A lot of unpack. So let's break it down a little bit with this game. So we came a little late at the Barclays today, but we were able to kind of see what was going on screens in the hallway. And oh boy, I was like, whew, what is going on? The Mystics started on the 14-0 run this game, and it looked like the revenge tour was gonna end on a sour note today. I mean, we know that the Mystics, you said that it's definitely an interesting matchup, because I feel like the Mystics are definitely not a good team for Liberty in terms of matchup. They're very strong defensively, very good on the ball. They have tough defenders on the inside with Elena Daladon and Shakira Austin that made the life of Jonquel Jones very difficult. And they started very strongly. The Liberty were kind of struggling to sort of like have good ball movement, and I mean they're the number one team or the second team in terms of assists, and the second team in terms of point average. So it was very, very worrying to see that they started so badly. But credits to the Mystics teams that came really well prepared for this game and made their life very difficult for the Liberty. Were you optimistic still at this point? Or?
Yeah, I think, you have quite a few people on this team that can shoot a three at any time, and anyone can get hot at any time. So I wasn't too worried. It was just the first quarter. It obviously didn't start well, but I was just hoping if we get some points on the board, if we can just get this down, chip away at the lead, we can get back in this. So I wasn't too worried about that. They just, again, for the Liberty, you could tell when they come up against a really tough team, they look out of sorts. They look out of rhythm. And it wasn't until I think really Brondello started to put in sort of that second unit, with Marine and Thornton, that you started to see a change there. So you got to change things up. They didn't start great, but they fought their way back, which was the most important thing, was that they had the fight in them. And like Sabrina said post conference, back in the day, a year or two ago, this team would have just fallen to pieces, with starting out with a 14-0 deficit. They definitely would have lost the game, but they showed their fight, and so that was really important. They showed poise, they showed character, coming together, playing with each other, and just pushing it.
Yeah, I mean, now they have a team with a lot of experience, players that have won titles before, Vandersloot, Stephanie Dawson, even though she wasn't playing today, Brianna Stewart. Jonquel Jones didn't win a title just yet, but she played in the finals twice. So you got players that have the experience and that been in those moments before. So I think it was very important that they didn't crumble. They came back they were down by 6 at halftime.
Yeah.
Considering that they were down by 17 in the first quarter, that was a win itself. To see that they were that close.
Yeah, I just wanted them to get down to single digits. I was like, you get down into single digits, we have a game. Hopefully we can get the lead. It took a while for them to get the lead, but, it was going to be a tight game regardless. The Washington Mystics are a tough team defensively. You can tell the way they were on the ball, and they are quick. They gave Brianna Stewart a tough time. They definitely gave Jonquel Jones probably the hardest time. I think she would, even though she got 10 rebounds, she had 0 points, and I'm sure she would want to have a redo of this game or put it out her mind and reset. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, we were just praising her for the great game she had against the Atlanta Dream. But it was a tough game tonight, this afternoon against the Mystics. It was very, very difficult. They put a lot of pressure on her when she had the ball on the inside, so she seemed a little bit slow or unsure of which direction to go in order to score on the inside. She did manage to provoke a lot of fouls, but didn't get to go to the free throw line. So it was a tough game for Jonquel Jones. And then even for Breanna Stewart, she only had her first field goal in the third quarter. Yeah. And if I look at the stats, just to go back again on the first quarter, the Liberty were 3 for 17 in terms of field goals and 2 for 10 at the 3-point line. So a lot of things to worry about. But Courtney Vandersloot, after the game, and it was a question asked by Cassandra Negley, who asked Courtney Vandersloot about Betnijah Laney's cutting and shot making, because I think that Betnijah with Sabrina Ionescu in the second half were the people that kind of brought the team back together. And she was asked about Betnijah Laney's cutting and shot making, and she said that it's part of what we're looking for. We know that guards are really aggressive and sometimes overhelp, and so they focus on the ball, and she does well knowing when to space to the corner or cut. And I think that's when the Liberty started to figure things out in the second half. You had a lot of corner threes by Betnijah Laney. You had Sabrina Ionescu that started to get on fire with a freeze. So quite a few times where Stewie was setting good screens for her to have those catch and shoot threes. So it was really, really encouraging to see that, yes, now the Liberty have figured things out and coming back in this game and might go for a win. But let's not forget that there was a turning point in this game, sadly, and that was in the fourth quarter. Yeah. There was about 8 minutes left, and unfortunately, Shakira Austin, with the up-and-coming stars of the WNBA, got a serious injury. At first, I wasn't sure, what type of injury she had. So she kind of stole the ball, deflected the ball, and was trying to go and run for a fast break, but she kind of lost balance. I think she got tripped through Breanna Stewart's leg, and then kind of lost balance and fell really hard. And at first, I thought I was scared. I thought it was like
I thought it was her knee.
I thought it was the ACL, but then we found out later when we came back home that it was a hip injury. But it was serious to the point where she had to be carried out by teammates and coaches. So very sad to see. We don't like to see those kind of things, obviously. There's been serious injuries lately in the WNBA with Breanna Jones for the Kinetic Sun, and you don't want to see that because you want the best player to compete against each other and also to be healthy. But it's sad, but it was the turning point because she's such a strong presence defensively on the inside that it's when things started to shift. Yeah. And so it happened with 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and the Liberty took their first lead 2 minutes later with a 7-0 run, and took the first lead for what became like a sort of back and forth battle in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, this time, unfortunately with Shakira Austin going down, it definitely opened it up for the Liberty. Now it became a game, this back and forth, just up by a couple of points, not getting blown out. But this was a battle, and I thought that's what it would come to, that, the last few minutes of the game, this is going to come down probably to a shot or two.
Yeah, but the Mystic started to give an extra push. Mm-hmm. And, like we've seen in some of the losses this season against the Chicago Sky at home when they blew up a 19-point lead, or when they also gave the opportunity to the Atlanta Dream last week to sort of, have a tight game and take the win in New York. The Mystics got that extra push, and so with 2 minutes left, they took an 8-point lead. And to be fair, I gotta be honest, I thought that the game was over. And people around us started leaving as well. It was like, let's just get our first, let's get the Q train right away, or like, get out of the traffic before it gets crazy. So it seems like I wasn't the only one that was started losing hope.
They left too early, basically, because I was hoping that I was like, I just need 1 3. Just get a 3. You bring it down to 5. You're close. You can get there. 2 minutes, a lot can happen in 2 minutes. So, and it did.
It did. Sabrina had a couple of frees to bring the team back. And then it came to the wire with free throws. And I got to give props to the Seafoam Army, Section 31 and Section 1, who are Liberty fans that decided this season to dress as the Statue of Liberty, pretty much. But they bring so much energy in those two sections, like really pumping up the crowd and bringing everybody together to really lift the team. And so I definitely feel like they had an impact in the free throws of the Mystics, who missed a couple of important free throws down the stretch that kept the Liberty alive. And with 9 seconds left,
Sloot!
Amazing play. So basically, we were running out of timeout because Brandello and then the Mystics kept taking short timeouts to set up plays and figuring out how to win this game. And so the Mystics, I think it was Natasha Cloud who missed 1 of the 2 free throws, got the second one, and then quick inbound from the Liberty. Vandersloot with the ball. She quickly passes to Kayla Thornton, half court, who gives it back to her. Amazing crossover and goes to the basket, and the crowd went bananas. It was insane, wasn't it?
It was crazy, and I loved every minute of it. I'm glad she went for that shot. I was wondering if they were going to try to get it to Sabrina, but I'm glad Sloot took that shot and tied it up, and we went to overtime. She was wonderful.
Now, let's not forget, because everybody was so excited that people didn't realize that we almost lost the game right after that.
Yeah, I mean,
on the 3-point shot from from her own court or half court shot by Natasha Cloud. She threw that ball and it almost went in, but people were so excited that they didn't see
because it was the rim. It hit the rim.
It hit the rim, and it was before the end of the regulation time. Yeah. So I'm glad that it didn't go in, and we were up for a treat with an overtime. With a crazy atmosphere at the Barclays. I think by now we're getting used to it. But yeah, it was very exciting. And just to go back on the play from Vandersloot, she said that on the game tying layup in regulation, that was the play basically. They had a backside action, of course, and they wanted the best shot available. Sloot saw a wide open layup and she took it. And that's when you see big stars coming, big in those kind of games, because there was no timeout and they were able to set up a play so quickly and so effectively that, we're glad that we have stars like Sloot on our team.
It's important to have veterans on your team that know exactly what to do. They've been in those situations before, and she took it. She saw an open lane, and good for her. They didn't just try to get a 3 or try to get it to Sabrina, and yeah, it's possible she might have made it, but you saw an open lane and she took it. So
yeah. And so the overtime, it was definitely almost all about Sabrina Ionescu.
Yeah,
she really kept us afloat. That's when you see that when she was injured those past couple of games with a hamstring injury, and she came back on Friday against Atlanta, that she's an important piece to that team. And she can get on fire anytime. And those threes in overtime were amazing. Now, it's not just about her. Like, the whole team worked for her to be open and have those catch and shoots. But the level of those shots and, how far she is beyond the line, it's amazing to see. And it's basically every time we needed the lead or needed to come back, she was there. She delivered. She had 31 points for the game, 7 threes. It's almost like we're getting used to it by now. But amazing performance by Sabrina that really helped us to stay afloat. And then as we were getting closer, it was still once again back and forth between the two teams. And what gave us the win, well, there was Stewie, who was very aggressive towards the last part of the game. And then she went for a layup, got the N1, and then it was all about the defense afterwards.
Yeah,
and who was the key player that pretty much gave us the win? Kayla Thornton, right?
Yeah, I mean, you need her there. Even before we hit overtime, and I think it was early on in the fourth quarter where Brondello took Jonquel Jones out, and I was like, you need Thornton, you need defense. You have shooters on the court.
Yeah.
You have at least 3, really 4. All those women can shoot, but you need defense, and I'm glad that they put Thornton in because she was able to lock it down and help keep the Liberty in the game. And it was important also for her. She was crucial in those last few minutes, especially in overtime, to really force that win.
Yeah, obviously players are the ones that make things happening, but you need a great coach. And Brondello saw that Jonquel Jones was struggling. She did say post game that JJ was a little out of sorts, and so she decided to go with a little more toughness and versatility, and so that's why she decided to put Kayla Thornton in the game, and she was crucial in those last possessions, especially with Elena Donovan on defense, and on the last play as well with Irons Allen. She was amazing. She had those stops. She made their life difficult. And, at some point we thought we were having the win when Betnijah grabbed the rebound, but unfortunately lost control of the ball. And that gives another 3 to 4 seconds for the Mystics to win that game. Yeah. But then once again, they really delivered defensively, and Kayla Thornton was amazing. And Marine got the ball to finish, and
that was it.
It was explosion and the win against a great team.
I want to give props to Marine Johannès as well, because she did well defensively too. She's not, she's not Thornton, but she definitely kept her ground and was also disruptive. And so props to her as well on keeping some of the Mystics players from getting easy layups, getting threes. She definitely stayed with her person throughout the game. Whomever she was on, she stayed with them. She did not leave. So, and I think that's what was killing the Liberty. They would be all over the place, and someone from the Mystics would end up being open. And who was that?
Atkins. She had 6 threes. She was 6'7" at the 3-point line. For a team, the Mystics, no disrespect, but when you look at statistics, they're 8th out of 12 teams in terms of 3-point percentage, but it felt like they were the best team in the league in terms of 3-point percentage in this game. But that was really like a lot of miscommunication on defense.
A lot of miscommunication, a lot of breakdown, which ended up leaving Atkins open, and she made them pay for it. And what I loved was that when it was Marine on her, she didn't get as many points. She definitely stayed with her the whole time, anytime Marine came in. So props to Marine as well in keeping Atkins from scoring not too many more points than what she already had. But yeah, that was a problem there. I think, once they probably look back at film, they just got to tighten up that communication on defense, especially because the upcoming games are not going to get any easier, so they got to tighten this up now.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna see what the Liberty are made of, because next week is gonna be a really, really tough week. They're gonna pretty much face the 2 best teams in the league. So on Tuesday, they're gonna face the Connecticut Sun, who are playing a high level basketball at the moment, especially Elisa Thomas, that keeps having triple doubles. And then on Thursday, the game that everybody is waiting, the Las Vegas Aces in Vegas for the 2 super teams. And, that's going to be a tough game because Vegas right now is cruising. They got 3 All-Stars with A'ja Wilson, Chelsea Gray, Jackie Young. You saw that crazy pass from Chelsea Gray the other day against the Indiana Fever. So they're on the roll, and they're tough to beat at home. So we're going to find out very soon what this team is made of with those 2 games. And then on Sunday, July 2nd, so the whole week they're going to play away. They're going to play against the Seattle Storm, who are starting now to find their groove now. Drew Lloyd's amazing. Also been voted into the All-Star game, but they started to figure things out, and they're going to be a different team that when we face them the first time around. So it's going to be a tough road trip, and I hope it's not going to be a revenge tour for some of those teams since we beat the Storm and the Sun. Let's keep the revenge tour for this week and put it to rest and see what this week is going to be made of. But
yeah, I think they can take on Connecticut. They have to just stay focused. They can't start the game the way they did today. Any one of those teams will make them pay. I think the Mystics today had missed some crucial shots, and that's why this also didn't become as crazy of a game as it could have been in terms of how much more ahead the Mystics could have gotten. But with Connecticut, Vegas, they've played Connecticut already. I'm looking forward to a good game. It's gonna be a dogfight. Las Vegas makes me a little nervous, but they're supposedly the 2 top teams. You got to play the best to see what it is you need to work on. So,
exactly.
I'm hoping they pull out a win here, and I think they can if they stay poised, if they stay aggressive, especially. If they can all stay aggressive and not be hesitant, they can pull out some wins.
Yeah. So definitely looking forward to that. That's going to be an exciting week with tough matchups ahead. Now, before we head out, we cannot not mention the All-Star game votes that were announced just before the game against the Washington Mystics. And so we have the front court. So in terms of voting, you have the fans voting. You also have the media who have a vote, and the players also get to vote, and then they sort of do an average score afterwards. And so in terms of the front court, we have A'ja Wilson, Breanna Stewart, who's the only New York Liberty player voted in the starting lineup of the All-Star game. Brittney Griner, Satu Sabally, Aaliyah Boston, the rookie from the Indiana Fever, who gets a first All-Star game as a starter already, and then Nneka Ogwumike for the Los Angeles Sparks. So, nothing really shocking in that list, except maybe Alyssa Thomas, who's having an amazing season, who hasn't been voted in. And then in terms of the guards, we got Jackie Young, who's having an MVP season at the moment with Vegas, Drew Lloyd from Seattle, Arike Ogunbowale from the Dallas Wings, and Chelsea Gray. Now, in terms of voting, obviously, with the system of the votes and having so many front court and less guards, there's going to be people left out. I was a little bit disappointed that I didn't get to see Alicia Gray from the Atlanta Dream not getting picked, but I'm sure she'll be in the reserves. But what was interesting was that when you look at the votes, Sabrina Ionescu, was 8th overall in the guards. So she was voted 6th in the fan rank, 6th in the media rank, and 19 in the players rank. What was going on with that? Is there like some resentments or some people that think that she's overhyped? But what's going on with the fact that she was so low in the player rank?
I think I look at it this way with Sabrina. She is a phenomenal player. She really is. But I think for her, some players may feel like, she hasn't really won anything yet with her team. She's still trying to, gel. This is a new team. You got some big superstars on this team now. But the last couple of years, she's done well. But she was also dealing with injuries the last couple of years. But based on, I would say, all the things that she got coming into the league, there's other players out there that I would say deserve just as much as she's gotten, and she's gotten it pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think she's a great player, and it's well deserved. But maybe they think she may have gotten things a bit too fast. I don't know. They probably maybe a little bit of jealousy there. I don't know. Maybe I'm speculating.
We're not in the locker room. We don't know.
I'm totally speculating
so
on this.
We don't know exactly.
I think she came in and there was definitely a lot of hype around her. And again, she is a great player. It's not like she came into the league and she was a bust. That's not it. She's a great player, but I don't know. Maybe some people just think she got a lot of accolades before really showing what she could do, and maybe that in that regard, people may think it's not fair.
Yeah, it's a tricky. It's a tricky question here. I mean, obviously the question of privilege as a white woman can, come up at times. That doesn't take away, her work ethic and how phenomenal she is as a player. I mean, we do see her in warm-ups and, segments that we get to see sometimes about training and how, she improved year in, year out. So there's no question about that, about her talent. But, like you said, maybe she had things that, other players that have been longer in the league deserve as well. So it's very tricky because we cannot deny the talent of Sabrina Ionescu. But at the same time, we look at the player ranking and we wonder what's going on here. So yeah, she's not, everybody's fans. We're definitely happy to have her with the New York Liberty. And we're also glad to see that there's still so much room for improvement. For example, the defense. There's still things that she needs to work on. She definitely made a lot of improvement this year, but she's still targeted. We saw with Natasha Cloud once again targeting her, or sometimes Sabrina was forgetting some assignments that the Mystics made her pay with 3-pointers. So incredible talent offensively, credible leader, room for improvement on defense, and in terms of like getting the respect from the league. It will come. I mean, she was an all-star last year. She was a starter, if I'm not mistaken. I wouldn't be shocked if she's voted in the reserves. I think the coaches are in charge of that. So we'll see. Hopefully, we could get a couple of more New York Liberty in the All-Star game. I definitely believe that Betnijah Laney would be worthy of an All-Star this year. She's been amazing for the Liberty. Vandersloot, the stats are not exactly the same offensively as previous year with the Sky, but she's still number one in assists in the league, and as we see in the games with the Liberty, she's definitely one of the leaders of the team. And when we need a go-to player, she's that player. So I wouldn't be completely shocked if she's in the All-Star game. Sabrina as well. Let's see. Obviously, I would love for Marine to be in the All-Star game.
3-point contest. Let's go.
She doesn't necessarily have the stats to, advocate for, voting in the All-Star game. But sometimes the All-Star game is about, being flashy, being spectacular. She would be the perfect player for the All-Star game. But that don't get me started on that. I'm a little biased as a French person, but
I would like to see her in the 3-point contest.
Yeah, 3-point
I don't know
contest.
if that's possible, but I hope so.
I mean, I don't know how things work in terms of who get to decide who's at the 3-point contest or not. We'll see. We would love to see her, definitely. So I think that concludes our podcast. I was gonna add a little topic on the ref, but don't get me started, because otherwise we'll be there for another hour to debate on that. Maybe it will be for next week, because there's a lot of things that could be said as well with referees in the WNBA.
We're gonna have to wait till there's just like one game that we're talking about, just like for the podcast, because the refs are.
Let us thinking on that, meditate on that topic, and see if next week we'll bring it up. But that's definitely something that would be worthy of talking about. But anyway, thank you so much, guys, for listening to our podcast. We'll see you next week for another episode. And as we always say,
let's go Liberty!